Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the Gaia Daily for July 1st through 3rd, 2020. How are you doing? Well, we are in the exact energy of Mercury retrograde in Cancer and the Sun direct, of course, always direct in Cancer, crossing paths. So Mercury crossing over the Sun, heading in its retrograde, and exactly coming together into square with Chiron in Aries. So we're feeling the pressure of this transit. And what is it about? The Chiron in Aries is about wounds, deep wounds over where we haven't been able to be who we really are. And the Sun and Mercury in Cancer is speaking to our orientation, our relationship to nurturing and being accepted. So we've talked about how SuperNova Souls are being asked to come into a different relationship with the earth, with the mother, with nurturing, to receive, to feel held here in this experience. And yet it's so different from what you have experienced up to this point, most likely, as a supernova soul, being maybe feeling rejected, not welcome, persecuted here in this earth realm, even though you have such a love and devotion to this evolution and to the earth. That's what got you here. You had to have a huge desire to be here in order to squeeze your big star self into this lower dimensional frequency, and yet not welcome so much as the light that you are. To the point where Chiron Aries is speaking to where you've had to turn your light down, pretend you are something different than who you are in order to survive. And now the energies are saying, if you're going to survive here, supernova soul, you got to let yourself be held and cared for. And it's a very interesting energy where it's bringing up a whole collective energy of the whole story of this human evolution, of where humanity has not felt really safe and connected to the earth. You know, going back to the stories of the Atlantean catastrophes and the energy that our earth we've been programmed to think that as we raise in our vibrational frequency, the earth can't handle that and it's going to have to break and we're going to have catastrophes and all this stuff. But that's not true. That's a story. It's a trauma overlay on top of the earth. And this is the message that I'm getting right now from the earth is like, this isn't me. I want to be your mother. I want to be together in this, you know. But these old stories, even a pre-planetary evolution of disconnection, and it's not safe to connect to the mother planet, to feel at home. And, you know, it's like, these stories have infected this whole earth evolution, keeping humanity in general disconnected from the earth and from the nurturing of the earth. And the whole construct of structured religion and as far as how it manifested in, say, the Christian traditions of religious structures, a very powerful program and agenda around disconnecting from nature and the earth, that's not spiritual, that's not God, that's lower, that's base, that's not right. And that's a lie, because nature is a manifestation of spirit and the most beautiful representation of spirit. It is God manifest and the goddess. And so we're being asked at this point in our evolution to come back home into a communication with Mother Earth. And that's the most challenging for the supernova soul, who's been literally rejected from this place for your light. And yet that's what we need to do in order to move forward. If we're here to lead the way, then we need to forge a communication and a connection back to the mother energy, back to trust, back to knowing who we are in our spiritual self. Now, this is the wounds of Chiron and Aries. It's like denying that truth, that I am existence, your spiritual presence, your life force energy, and denying all that, turning it down in order to fit into the tiny little role that was allowed for you to play lifetime after lifetime. So this square is about, can we be in our full expression and still be loved and nurtured and held in this experience. And it's hard because we've gone through so much difficulty in our past lives. And are you held and loved? Like, can we be loved while can we understand that we were loved by God and the universe and our higher self through all we've gone through, even though we didn't feel cared for on this earth? And can we let go of all those old stories so that we can feel cared for and loved? Because this is what's being asked of us. So really powerful time. We're going to be feeling this through the next few days and into the weekend, through this full moon, coming up, this full moon in Capricorn, powerful energy, because we've had so much Capricorn, right? Jupiter, Pluto, now Saturn has gone back into Capricorn. Saturn transiting back into Capricorn after its brief stint in, a couple of months in Aquarius, kind of feeling out the waters of this new chapter, this new age. Now Capricorn knows what it needs to do, Saturn knows what it needs to do back at home in Capricorn. Needs to resolve the old way of building, which is about breaking contracts with false authority energy. So a lot of how we got into this place, or what's happened to us as SuperNova Souls, caused a disconnection. How could this be happening to me? I must have done something horribly wrong. And then that disconnect, that separation, delusion of separation from God. And when that happens, then God becomes a false authority, an outside force that says whether you're good or you're bad, or you did it right or you did it wrong. And even though, most of us, we don't live by those constructs consciously, subconsciously we're programmed with those. And there's that voice, kind of constantly condemning. And very subtle, but it's there. And this Saturn back in Capricorn, just visiting these end degrees, the last few degrees. It's gone over once. It's going to go over the end degrees Capricorn, the last few degrees, and then forward again 3 times. And that's kind of this last bit, the rest of 2020 is that. And Capricorn saying, okay, it's time to break ties with our old construct of authority, which means a separation. So maybe that's all this Cancer energy is bringing us back into connection, that this is the new chapter. This is the way we move forward. The only way out of this mess is back into connection. But it's hard because we've all been so traumatized. And that's what I was seeing, is this like overlay of trauma on the earth. And humanity's relationship with the earth being like, oh, the earth is going to be traumatic for me, And Mother Earth is like, that's not me. That's just a story. That's not me. That's not me in my true essence. I came here to love you and provide for you everything you need. And this beautiful expression, that's the energy of New Earth that we're moving into. It's just a full joining with the natural world, working together, the technologies working together with the natural world for the betterment of humanity and to bring us to a new level of consciousness and connection of how we can just already the earth provides so much and regenerates herself magically and miraculously every season, just constant regeneration. Already provides everything we need, but then taking that to the next level of just massive abundance principle, working with the energies of the earth and nature and geometry and form. And so that's this energy. So it's like we kind of got to get out of this delusion that we're not safe here, we're not loved, we're not cared for, because what if that was just a story? All this is just a story. And what's real, the only thing that's real, is our spiritual truth. And that's kind of what's coming up with this Chiron and Aries. It's like, I want to exist. I want to live. I want to have zest for life. I want to be here and be fully present. And in order to do that, we got to be connected to the earth and work with the earth, But if we don't have permission, and waiting around maybe this is part of the message. It's like for SuperNova Souls, waiting around to be received, be validated. Oh, thank you so much for bringing your light here. It's not going to happen. right? Like we have to do that for ourselves. And that's when, when we come back into that relationship with nurturing, allow ourselves to be in that centered spiritual self, that spiritual trust that whatever's happening is bringing you to where you want to go, where you really want to go. Back home, into your heart, into your truth, into spirit, into source. And it's a completely different navigation system, which really has to do with this Venus now direct. Venus tomorrow, woohoo, moves to 6 degrees. Been at 5 degrees for quite a while. Coming out of the cave of the Venus retrograde, right? Like exiting out, and it's like coming out, looking at the light of day, coming out of quarantine, coming out of our distancing, our weird, strange time of reorienting ourself, of Venus, so many months in, 4 whole months it will be in Gemini. We've made it through 3. And, but now Venus direct is bringing to the surface all the subconscious work that we were doing, or what was happening to us, or trying to shift from the Venus retrograde. And so that coming to the surface is just facing some really intense feelings of where we don't feel connected in our life, and it's kind of like as humans and distractions and the way life is and busy and go here, go there and do this, do that, and kind of dance around our deeper emotions. And Venus retrograde is not going to let us do that. So these been happening beneath the surface, but now they're like really coming up, like, ooh. This core level disconnection and disorientation. I mean, it goes all the way back to the original old story of not being welcome on the earth and feeling disconnected from the mother and disconnected from source. And this is our complete reorientation, understanding that how we've been orienting to the world up to this point doesn't make sense anymore. Because we're moving into a new chapter, we're incarnating into, our bigger self. And that orientation system of towards the structures of the past isn't going to hold us, isn't going to get us where we want to go. We'll just keep spinning in circles, And so we have to completely reorient. And the only way to reorient back is to be back home, to reorient back home. Home into ourself, home into our center, home into our deep and profound spiritual purpose, which isn't manifest in a certain form for most of us right now, but it's in energy. It's like showing up as who you are. And that's what the wounds of Chiron really want us to do. And to reclaim back not just our permission to exist, but our permission to thrive. And claim back that zest of life. So we still have Pluto and Jupiter exact through tomorrow. Then a little break. They're still going to be close. I mean, it's exact conjunction, but they come back together on the 6th. That's really powerful. So that from the 6th to the 9th, they're in exact conjunction at 23 degrees. Both retrograde still. And it's interesting that this Capricorn full moon happens right in between those. And the moon, so the Capricorn full moon happens on the 4th, mostly the 5th in most of the world. And then the moon after that will move right over, continue in that next day, about a day after the full moon, to a conjunction going over Jupiter and Pluto. And that's like, so this full moon it's like, I can feel, it's almost like reverberations, and ongoing ramifications of this energy that's really speaking about the whole Capricorn story we've been in, which is the breakdown of old structures. And with Saturn back there, we're talking about our authority structures, where we've given our power away, how we've built our world on false concepts, false precepts of what we've been told, conditioning, all those religious stories, going back to all this, stories throughout time that do not at all fit who we really are as spiritual beings. And it's just dismantling, and that's really what's going on in the world. Even though it looks like we're going into some deep, dark soup of bloom of tragedy and darkness and shadow energies. An important message around this is that these shadow energies that are blooming right now on the planet, they've been here since Atlantean time. They've been here the whole time. Now they're showing themselves, revealing. It's being exposed. That's a good thing. Not good, not fun to look at. But if you can keep that, that can be really helpful right now. Be like, oh, this is a blooming, but it's been here all along. And you're right here. You've been battling with this energy your whole time here. And now it's time to give up the battle and be the light that you are. And just remove yourself from the fray of the lower play of events. Now that's all these loyalty contracts, feeling responsible for the earth, feeling responsible for your family, for groups or people. And it's so easy to conceptually say, oh yeah, I can see that, they need their own suffering. They need their own timeline. They need their own process. It's easier to see that and intellectually understand it. But when it comes to really breaking free and giving yourself permission for that higher timeline, it's difficult. But that's part of the Saturn back in Capricorn too. Contracts, karma, So your lower timeline, being stuck in the lower timeline, is all connected to loyalty contracts and contractual arrangements with groups and your family and your friends and people, and also attachments to personality constructs that no longer fit you. But those are these old timeline stories playing out. Now, we got to go into those stories. So be patient with yourself, because I know a lot of people like, whoa, how did I get back here? I thought I did. I've been just doing all this spiritual work, and I'm back in this really old pattern. I don't know if I'm ever going to get out of it. That's kind of how a lot of people have felt from this Venus retrograde. But know that, first you have to move towards the new. You move towards the new timeline. You got to move towards that energy before it will be revealed what's holding you back in the old energy. And we're just doing the dance right now in between, and maybe for the rest of 2020, I don't know. We talked about how we did have a beautiful timeline alignment at that Cancer eclipse, and yet it's going to take 6 months to adjust to. So we're in it, and we're kind of dancing between timelines, maybe multiple timelines, if that's who you are. And sorry about that. It's a very, very confusing time. But if we can keep being like, oh, it's because we're adjusting to a higher vibration. It's because we have to reorient to a completely new truth that is the truth, the old truth, the I am, which is represented in this Aries energy, because we've got Mars and Aries now too. Mars, though, has been in square to the nodes. It's like, ooh, Mars home in Aries, right? But Mars has been squared in the nodes. We're still feeling that a little bit. And that's like, yeah, but you can't go anywhere, dude. Like, Mars is like, yeah, fire, I'm home. Let's do this. Let's express. And then it's like, you're stuck between the past and the future. You're not going nowhere, right? And it's like so the Sagittarius South Node pulling us back into the old stories of the old timelines. And a lot of that is, past life failure energy. This is a big thing that is subconscious playing out in these souls. And this past life failure where you got off your mission, you didn't succeed. And that's what got you in the separation delusion, right? So it makes sense it's coming up at the same time that we're being asked to come back into our wholeness and connection to God and the Mother and the Earth, is to be a demonstration project of this energy, of this new way of being, which is the old original way too, but higher octave. And so know those old stories pulling you back. And every lifetime I go read with individual sessions, what comes forward a lot of times is this lie, a big lie. And the lie always has to do with the fact that you actually didn't fail. You thought you were supposed to do something and then it didn't work out, and it's all your little construct of your little brain. But in reality, you succeeded. And that's a big message for us now. It's not about something specific we're here to do right now. That will play out, and it will be really fun coming back together and working on these projects. But we're here to be here, to be who we really are. And this is this frustrated Aries, Mars frustrated, and I got into home in Aries and nobody will let me go, And then Mercury and the Sun trying to figure out what's going on here in square to Chiron, those deep wounds of I can just feel this energy coming up around this of a core level energy of rejection, that these souls feel, of like not being able to be in their, feel safe and survive in their full light on the earth. Coming in, just so much sacrifice, desire, and what you had to go through to get here, and then, you know, nobody wants what you have to offer, and just like, but we've taken it personally, and the I am presence isn't personal. You know, this life force energy, the truth of who we really are, that's not personal. It's the life force. It's everywhere. It's God consciousness. That's what you wanted to be. And yet you're stuck in the past being like, but I didn't succeed as that thing I was trying to be. I was like, no, the whole time you were trying, all you wanted to be was this. And all you're being asked to do right now is be this. So Sagittarius South Node is like all these stories unraveling. And just know that that's pulling us into these old timelines. And when that's happening, your life doesn't make sense because you're really living out old stories from past lives. You know, and you don't have the information to understand. It's like bleeding through. I see this so many times in the unconscious energies, and you're trying to figure out what's going on with the people around you, fully living out a past life story, having no idea what's going on, you know. And that's why nothing makes sense, and like communication doesn't work, because it's like, oh, this, you know, can we come into present time? And then, you know, the North Node in Gemini, trying to reorient ourselves to our true identity. Perfectly excruciatingly painful. Could be, right? As we rebirthed into who we really are. And but this astrology is lining up epically with Mars square the nodes at the beginning of Aries, knowing it's coming into a retrograde in Aries. So wanting to move forward, and yet the lag, the drag, you know, and that's the Sagittarius, the old stories. And then we've got this tension and pain, woundedness around where we haven't been received on the earth and as the light that we are, taking that personally when the light that we were wasn't personal. So, you know, it's just like it's just a perfect storm. And Venus coming out of that retrograde, everything coming to the surface of the past 2 months of, you know, and past who knows how long, how many lifetimes. You know, Venus retrograde just makes us go, ooh, into the past, into all the places we've been avoiding, all the places we've been just distracting ourselves from. It's like, nope, go right there, you know. And now we've been there in our internal landscape, and now it's all coming to the surface. And so hang in there. Like I said, just through tomorrow is the exact conjunction of Jupiter and Pluto. Incredibly powerful energy. It's the breakdown, right? It's a breakdown of our structures, but what it really is the light trying to come in. And the light trying to come into this earth sounds really good, right? But where does it go when it gets here? Does it diffuse? Does it get gobbled up by the darkness, by the shadow, by that disease that's like exposing itself right now on the earth? Does it have anywhere to go? And this is your path and purpose and mission. You're here to hold it. To just you've done so many like rituals and learning and studying and initiations throughout your lifetimes and other evolutions to be able to hold light in your physical body more and more. So why not now, right? And maybe that's the energy through this Capricorn full moon, breaking the chains of those authorities. So what holds all the stories in place? What holds all of the lies in place? What holds the separation, delusion in place is the authority contracts, where we've given our power away and said, oh yeah, well, I better not bring my light here to the earth because it's going to hurt the earth. It's going to hurt other people. People don't like it. It's uncomfortable for people. I'm just not going to do it, right? And we said, okay, you guys watch over me. Make sure I don't come into my power. And those lower karmic relationships. And then we've got our authority contracts where you'll go to raise your vibration and you'll come up to the ceiling. And it's like, oh, no, you don't. What are you doing? That's dangerous. You don't have permission for that. And it's like, well, why would we even have that capacity within us if we didn't have permission for it. That's ridiculous, right? But it's real. I mean, the fear is not real, but it feels very real. And so we're just coming up against the ceiling of the lower matrix is what we're doing. And Jupiter-Pluto is trying to influx this light to break down the matrix, but it's like refracting off everything and getting all distorted. And that's where you're being asked to just live and breathe and be and exist in the truth that you are, in that I am, through this time. And imagine that you're cellularly shifting and changing to hold more light. And that means you're feeling better. You're feeling more at peace. And then it's like, wait a minute, the rest of the world is going crazy and freaking out and in total pain. And I'm supposed to start feeling better? Are you sure about this? Yeah. I know. And then that's, the loyalty contracts. So we're just bouncing around right now. You go up to the ceiling, get knocked back down, cruise around in those old timelines, get knocked around here and there. And it's all trying to bring us to that one place, back home to center. So what a crazy journey. I'm so glad that we're here together. And thank you so much for your support and being here and being present for these updates. Thank you so much for being a part of the SuperNova Soul Tribe membership group and being a part of the events. Bringing our energy together is the power that we have. That is our purpose too. We came in groups. That's the definition of SuperNova Soul. And then the amazing power of bringing our energy together in the collective to support each other in these shifting times and to inch up that vibration and, bring down the ceiling. So I hope you have some good celebrations, celebrate independence, celebrate this breaking free of the chains and breaking out of the pen of the lower matrix, and with this full moon in Capricorn, and celebrating that independence and your sovereignty as a spiritual being right here on planet Earth right now in the power that you are. So thanks so much for being here, and I hope you'll consider joining me for a full moon the full moon in Capricorn activation that is happening on the 3rd. It's before the full moon, to leave room for the Independence Day celebration in the US. And we'll just be settling right into that energy, setting our energy through this powerful weekend of the Capricorn full moon, and right between the Jupiter-Pluto conjunctions and all of this intense and powerful astrology. So maybe I'll see you there or on the next update. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.